There's a fine line in personal development between fixing and actually healing. Some of self-help just simply is not helping. In this episode, I'm going to walk you through my top 3 ways to sustainably heal.
Can't be contained.
That's what I'm talking about. What's up, you guys, and welcome back to the podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by the Life Mastermind. What does life stand for? Maybe you're wondering. Lucrative, impactful, fun, and easy, because that is the vibe in the new way of doing business. I am cultivating and curating a group of women who are 6- and 7-figure earners who are here to do business in the new way, how to prioritize energy over strategy, heart over hustle, freedom over force, allowing ourselves to truly use our bodies in business. The distorted masculine wing has been going for far too long when it comes to business, which has fueled a lot of greed and a lot of control and a lot of just in business. And it's now time for the gifted feminine to rise to the occasion and to add so much more heart back into business. So here's it on a napkin for a second. So divine love, higher consciousness vibrates to the frequency of love, right? There's this undercurrent of love. And so as women, if we are congruent with that undercurrent, there's this invisible jet fuel that helps our missions and helps our businesses and helps everything have just so much more fluidity. If we are anchored in greed or anchored in fear or anchored in anything other than love, then it's going to create so much resistance in our businesses. And then we're going to wonder why things are not working. One of the missions that I know I am here for, other than healing the world through the power of breathwork, is empowering women who are here to really make a difference, but do it in a way that is so authentic to her. And so if you are listening to this and you are desiring to join a community, a mastermind of value-aligned women who are here to lift you up and support you in manifesting that mission that you have in your heart into the world, and do it in the life way, which is lucrative, impactful, fun, and easy, go to pausebreathwork.com/mastermind. That's pausebreathwork.com/mastermind, and you can apply there. All right. So in today's episode, we are talking about why self-help is not helping. Here's the truth. I used to be a personal development junkie. I consumed so much content. I went to so many seminars. I listened to so many podcasts. I externalized so much. I was just full of information. But consumption without integration just creates frustration. So I can remember the days where I was in my diet depression days, where I was struggling with food and my body, and I was anxious and I felt numb and I was addicted to exercise and I had body dysmorphia. During that time, I was still learning as much as I possibly could about personal development. But at that time, it was mostly just mindset work. It was mostly just behavior change. No one talked to me about the body and the somatic experience, and that trauma lives in the body. And if we change our mind without changing our body, we are just going to end up on that personal development roller coaster. And so the years after finding breathwork, I just became so aware of the impact that our body has on us, right? If we go to a seminar or we take a course or we do some sort of mindset work and we change the mind, but we don't fundamentally change the beliefs that live in the body, the trauma that lives in the body, eventually, over time, the power that's in our body is going to override our mind, and then we're going to be back to where we started. And so behavior change and mindset change without the body will always keep us looping on the personal development roller coaster. Here's how I teach it to my students in my programs is it's the classic 80-20 rule, right? That's a classic rule for many teachings in our world, but think of it like this. 20% of the work that we do is the mind, right? 80% is the actual healing and awakening work. So think of it like this. So the 20% would be mindset work, right? So that would be focus. Staying focused on where we're going, staying focused on our vision, staying focused on who we are, staying focused. Focus in and of itself is a mindset tool. It's so important, right? Number one, decision making. Like making a decision to go, nope, not another day, not another minute. I'm not living my life like that. Like this is the decision that I'm making. That is also the mind. Things like thinking, right? We can control our thoughts. That's mindset work, right? We control our thoughts. If we have a negative thought, we're like, no, I'm not going to store that. I'm going to shift it into this. So if the thought is, I don't think you can really do that, we notice it, right? This is mine. I'm even like looking up because I'm noticing it. I notice the thought. Oh, wait, that's not my thought. I can do this. I have everything it takes to do this. That's the thinking. That's the decision. That's the choosing. That's the declaring. That's the focus, right? That's all mind work. Now, of course, the mind has an impact on the body as well, but the 80% is the body-based healing. So what is that? That's the somatic work. Now, soma means body in Greek, somatic, that's what that means. So body-based healing. So that is the trauma release, right? Like really getting into the body and feeling through some of our archaic traumas that are stuck in the body. That is releasing the stored energy, the fragmented energy that is stuck in our body and releasing it through breath work, through movement, through primal screaming, through shaking, through just processing, crying, releasing, letting go. Like we have to get into those deeper layers if we want to rid our bodies of those energies that have been stuck in there for so long. The body is also our connection to God, to infinite intelligence, to the earth, to each other, right? So there's this very spiritual connection when we are in our body. And I truly believe that we are here to heal each other. And so when we can be in our bodies and we can be in healthy connection with other people, we are medicine for each other's nervous system, right? And when we are in healthy, beautiful, loving relationships, we are truly giving each other an incredible gift. That's not done through the level of the mind. We can, of course, connect through the level of the mind, but when we connect only through the level of the mind, we're connecting through our perception of one another versus the direct experience of who we actually are. And so I recently finished a 4-year energetic healing process that I went through. It was actually a 2-year program, but I did it twice. And you know, when you're speaking to someone, you're speaking to how you see them and how they're presenting themselves. And so oftentimes we're kind of posturing to each other and we're not really connecting to our true selves. But when we sit in what we call a dyad at pause, which is just two people who are in a process together, and we're not connecting through words, we're not connecting through posturing, we're not connecting through, our identities or our labels, we're just fully connecting through our energetic bodies and through our souls and through our eyes. There's a deeper level of connection. There's a deeper level of healing when we are beyond that physical level. There's like an emotional and a spiritual level there. That stuff all occurs in the body. That doesn't happen through the mind. And so it's so important as we are on this path of discovery to I really believe like mindset work is the door in. I mean, it was definitely my door in. I was a mindset coach for many years before I discovered the power of breath work and the power of somatic healing and somatic coaching. And obviously now I have a breath work certification that I train people in and a somatic coaching certification that I train people in. But my doorway in was mindset work. And I think for many people, that's their doorway in as well, because that's sort of like the most approachable. We can kind of understand that, it's kind of like the low-hanging fruit. But from there, in order to really go into those deeper layers of healing and awakening and really allow it to be sustainable, the body needs to be involved, right? The body needs to be involved. There's like deep wisdom, intelligence that happens in the body. And without getting into our body and really feeling what is there, we're only really doing 20% of the work. And that 20% of the work takes willpower, because we're constantly fighting a narrative that is the complete opposite. So mindset work is the 20%, right? It's the focus, the thinking, the discernment, the decision, the map of like, we're here and then we're going to go here. That's all mindset work. And once we have that set as the context, then it's like, okay, what is happening in the body that is preventing from me getting to this next level? You know, whether it's a next level in with money or a next level in your relationship or in business or in self-love or whatever it is, that needs to be metabolized and cleared and healed in the body. And so what are some of my favorite somatic techniques? I'm glad you asked. Let's go through them. So I think to start with is just the simplicity of embodiment. And it could be as simple as just like closing your eyes and just beginning to notice what are the sensations that are occurring in my body as I'm just here still in this moment. And I really love to introduce the concept of titration when we're doing embodiment work, because we don't want to give our body too much too soon. We want to learn to like slowly begin to feel our emotions versus like overwhelming us. So titration is super important as we're doing this. And then we can move into, you know, after just tracking our own energy and feeling it, then we can begin to move into like feeling the contractions in our body. Oftentimes when we have pain or whatever it is, it's like, I don't want to feel that, like, But what if we were just to welcome it and just allow it and accept it? How would that shift our awareness? And so just begin to feel that. Next time you have anxiety, next time you have pain, just like, cool. I'm going to feel all of this. I'm going to allow myself to experience what this feels like. I'm not going to make a story around it. I'm not going to make a meaning around it. I'm just going to simply just feel what it feels like. That is so powerful, so powerful. Of course, things like breath work. Breath work is a somatic practice. It is a body-based healing, especially when we get into, you know, the deeper layers of breath work. It is so beyond the mind. The body is simply just doing its work. The body is just processing and allowing and releasing and letting go. And it's just so powerful, right? Shaking, screaming, you know, like releasing it through the voice. Movement, any kind of movement is like shaking the energy up in the body, letting it go. Of course, crying, like processing through crying, through letting it go. There's so much we can do with our physical bodies. And oftentimes we're just so constipated emotionally, but also we don't let ourselves like breathe and move, like really allow your animalistic nature to come into your healing practice, right? We can't just keep talking about our problems all the time and expecting things to move and shake and change, right? Context, a little bit of context is fine. A little bit of storytelling is fine, but we have to drop into the body if we want to really sustainably shift, sustainably move the needle, right? Because that's the power of somatic work. It's not just we're going to feel good as we're doing it. It's I am going to get into something and shift it on such a cellular level that this actually doesn't exist in my body anymore. And when it doesn't exist energetically in the body, then you stop creating it in reality. That's real big. When you shift it energetically, you stop creating it in reality. That's a huge thing to remember. With the mind, we can't do that. We got to get into the body. The last thing that I'll share on this is being so mindful of your intention for doing personal development. So are you fixing? Are you trying to fix yourself? Like, are you treating yourself like a project where you have to analyze every single trigger and every single thing and fixing yourself and healing yourself? We just get distracted. Like, that's another form of distraction. Allow yourself to have a little bit more grace. It's like, let's get down to like why we do personal development work in the first place. We do personal development work so that we could live our lives with more ease, with less resistance, with more fun and play and embodiment and intuition and creativity and magic. So are you looping in your own trauma by just fixing? Or are you allowing yourself to heal and then the spaciousness to just enjoy? Right? And there's like a really interesting nuance there. And it really comes down to your intention of why you're doing personal development. You are whole, you are perfect, you are amazing exactly the way you are. And how can we use embodiment work and how can we use healing work to just shift and smooth out some of the edges in how we're showing up, but not be so obsessed over it? You know, we can take our same obsession with something that's destructive. Like the examples that are coming to my mind right now are people who have been alcoholics or they've been addicts, and they were addicted to that, and then they go to personal development, and then they become addicted to fixing themselves. And so it's a nuance, but I want you to pay attention to it, because that can be destructive in and of itself, right? That can be destructive in and of itself. And again, it all comes down to intention. So know that ultimately you are perfect, you are whole, you are complete. There's nothing to fix. And through awareness and through some of this deep somatic work, we can just begin to release what is no longer ours. We can begin to release some of the ancestral trauma that was passed down to us. We can begin to release some of this life trauma that occurred during our upbringing with our caretakers, who obviously didn't intend to traumatize us, but it happens. And we can come at it from this place of, I desire to really understand who I am beyond all of the trauma that has occurred, but from a place of love. Yeah. Like I know I'm pointing to something that's a little bit nuanced here, and it really is up to you to decide what your intention is, right? What's your intention for doing the work? Is it do you think you're broken and you need to be fixed? Because if that's the case, the energetics around that whole thing are wrong, and then we're just going to get addicted to fixing ourselves. So anyway, get with your intention on that, right? True transformation happens at the intersection of pain and love. Love is not fixing. Love is not proving. Love is not thinking that we're broken. Love is love. It's like, I'm just going to love myself into expansion. I'm going to love myself into healing. I'm going to love myself into more alignment. Love is the ultimate catalyst for all to come back into form and to really operate in its true essence. I hope this episode has been helpful for you. If you know someone in your life who would benefit from this message, it would mean the world if you would send this episode to them. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing the work. Thank you for being leaders and light workers and just people who are on this path of constant expansion and evolution. I love you, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.